Welcome to Engineering Out Loud. This is the 5th episode in our series, straight from MECHESOL's MESP Management Development Program. And we're calling this one ISO 9001-2015.
Ooh.
Certification process and benefits.
Okay.
So we're going to dive deep today
Sounds good.
into what ISO 9001-2015 certification really is.
Okay.
And why it can really be a game changer for organizations who are looking,
Right.
to be top tier, to be the best of the best.
For sure.
And if you want to know more about how this program can help you level up in your professional development, make sure to check out mechesolco.com/CPD.
Awesome.
All right, so are you ready to get into the nitty-gritty of ISO 9001-2015?
I am. Let's go.
Awesome.
So you can really think of ISO 9001-2015 as the gold standard when it comes to a company's quality management system.
Okay, or QMS.
QMS, all right. Basically, what it does is it gives an organization a really clear way to show that they can consistently meet customer expectations, as well as all of those regulatory requirements.
Right.
But it's not just about checking boxes. It's about having a solid system in place to really make sure that happens reliably every single time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like a blueprint for quality.
Exactly.
Okay, so why go through all the trouble of actually getting certified, though?
Right.
What's the real benefit for a company?
So there's a bunch of benefits.
Okay.
First off, achieving that ISO 9001-2015 certification really shows the world that you're serious about quality and that you're committed to always improving.
Right.
It's not just talk, it's action.
It's proof.
And in today's world where everyone's connected, this certification is like a passport to do business internationally.
Oh, okay.
It really helps to build trust with customers.
Right.
Because they can see that a neutral third party has verified your quality processes.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So it can be a real strategic advantage.
Yeah, and a differentiator in the market.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so you get that globally recognized badge of quality.
Yeah.
Now, we often hear these terms, certification and accreditation.
Right.
Are they the same thing? What's the difference?
That's a great question, and it's really important to know the difference.
Yeah.
So think of it this way. Certification is all about an organization proving that they meet the requirements of the ISO 9001-2015 standard.
Okay.
Right? They've met that bar. Accreditation, on the other hand, is about making sure that the organizations who are doing the certifying are competent and trustworthy.
Oh. Okay.
So it's kind of like a two-layer system of checks and balances.
Gotcha.
So accreditation gives organizations that are looking to get certified, it gives them confidence,
Right.
knowing that they're working with a reputable and reliable certifier. It also helps to validate the certification bodies themselves, and it makes sure that they stay independent and objective in their evaluations.
So they're not playing favorites or anything.
Exactly.
That's all on the up and up.
Exactly.
So it's like quality control for the quality controller.
I like that, yeah.
All right, so a company decides that ISO 9001-2015 is the right move for them.
Okay.
What steps do they need to take to get certified?
So there's a clear path.
Lay it out for me.
First and foremost is the gap analysis.
Okay.
And this is where the company takes a hard look at how they do things and they compare their current practices against what ISO 9001-2015 requires. So they can find any areas where they might not be meeting the mark.
So you have to know where you are before you figure out how to get where you need to go.
Exactly.
It's like a roadmap.
I like that analogy.
Okay, so identify the gaps. What comes after that?
Then there's understanding the requirements.
Okay.
This one might seem obvious, but it's crucial. Everyone in the organization needs to have a really solid grasp of the principles and the concepts behind quality management according to the ISO 9001-2015 standard.
So you really have to study up on ISO.
You do. It's like you can't build a house without understanding the blueprints.
Right. You can't just wing it.
Exactly.
Okay, so you understand the requirements. You know where your gaps are. What's next?
Based on that understanding and knowing where those gaps are, a company needs to develop a comprehensive action plan.
Okay.
And this is where they strategize on exactly how they're going to address those gaps and meet all the ISO requirements.
Right.
It's about having really clear objectives and a step-by-step plan.
So it's the game plan.
Exactly.
Let's take a quick timeout. Listeners, if you're digging this deep dive and you're hungry for more quality management gold, head on over to mechesolco.com/CPD. We've got a treasure trove of resources just waiting for you. Now back to the show. Okay, planning is key.
Absolutely.
Now, what about what happens on the ground?
So that's where implementation and training come in.
Okay.
So you've got the plan, now you put it into action. This means adjusting your processes, updating all of your documentation so it reflects that new quality management system that you've created. And really importantly, training your staff so everyone knows exactly what their role is
Right.
and how they fit into the QMS.
Got it. So it's like getting everyone on the same page,
Exactly.
working together towards that common goal.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the next checkpoint?
After implementation comes the internal audit.
Okay.
And this is kind of like a practice run for the real deal, the certification audit.
Okay, so like a dress rehearsal.
Exactly.
Got it.
They're going to assess how well their new processes are working and try to spot any problems.
Before the big show.
Exactly.
Okay, so work out the kinks.
Exactly.
What happens after the internal audit?
Then comes the management review.
Okay.
And this is where the top leaders of the company come in.
Okay.
They're going to evaluate how well the quality management system is working as a whole. They'll look at the results of those internal audits, get feedback from customers, and really dive into the data
Okay.
to find areas where they can still improve before that external audit.
So final check from the top dogs.
You got it.
And then it's the main event, the certification audit.
Exactly. The certification audit is the real deal.
Okay.
This is where an independent certification body comes in and does a thorough evaluation of the company's QMS.
Right.
They check it against every single requirement of ISO 9001:2015.
No stone unturned.
Exactly.
And what if they pass?
Passing is great, but it's not the end of the road.
Well.
The final and arguably most important step is continuous improvement.
Okay.
So ISO 9001:2015 isn't just a one-time achievement.
Right.
It's about having this mindset of always trying to be better.
Always improving.
Exactly. So you're constantly reviewing and refining that QMS.
So it's not a destination.
No.
It's a journey.
It is a journey of continuous improvement.
I like that. Okay, so let's talk more about those accreditation bodies like IAS and IAF.
Right.
What exactly do they do in all of this?
So these accreditation bodies, like the International Accreditation Service, or IAS,
Okay.
and the International Accreditation Forum, or IAF,
Okay.
they're like the guardians of the whole ISO certification system.
Okay.
Their main job is to make sure that the certification bodies, the ones who are actually doing the audits, that they're competent
Okay.
and that they're following the rules.
Got it.
So they're making sure that the companies that are giving out the certifications are qualified to do so.
Yeah, so it all comes back to that two-tier system.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the main functions of these accreditation bodies?
So they grant accreditation to certification bodies, but just as importantly, they keep an eye on those bodies to make sure that they maintain super high standards.
Okay, so ongoing oversight.
Yes, and that oversight is critical,
Right.
because it keeps ISO certifications credible and accepted all over the world,
Yeah.
which is huge for businesses that are working internationally.
Right, because if you're getting a certification from somebody that's not accredited,
Right.
it's not going to hold as much weight.
Exactly. And that's why these bodies do continuous monitoring. They want to make sure that those certification practices stay unbiased,
Right.
that they're consistent, and that they're top-notch.
So it's really important to look for that accreditation from IAS or IAF.
Absolutely.
It shows that you're dealing with a certifier that's meeting all the requirements.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about a corporation actually becoming accredited?
Right.
What does that involve?
So that's a whole other level.
Okay.
When a corporation wants to become accredited, it means they want to be the ones auditing other organizations.
So they want to be on the other side of the table
Exactly.
instead of just being the one getting audited.
Exactly. So they're stepping up to be the experts.
They want to be the ones checking the homework.
Exactly.
So what do they have to do to become accredited?
So first of all, they need to have a really deep understanding of ISO 9001:2015,
Of course.
like inside and out.
Right?
They also need to have their own quality management system
Okay.
that's fully in line with all the ISO guidelines.
So they have to have their own house in order first.
Exactly.
Okay.
And maybe even more importantly, they need to prove that they can do unbiased and thorough audits.
So they can't just be handing out certifications to their buddies?
Exactly. It has to be completely impartial.
Okay, so it's a pretty high bar to clear.
It is, but it's worth it.
So how does a corporation actually get accredited?
So IAS or IAF will come in and do a really thorough assessment.
Okay.
They'll look at all their procedures, make sure they're following all the rules,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll pay close attention to the quality and consistency of the corporation's own internal audits.
Right, to make sure they meet those high standards.
Exactly.
So once a corporation gets accredited, is that it? Are they good to go forever?
Not quite. Maintaining that accreditation is an ongoing commitment.
Okay.
It means they have to constantly improve their own QMS,
Mm-hmm.
keep their processes up to date,
Right.
train their audit staff regularly,
Yeah.
and go through those periodic reevaluations by the accreditation bodies.
So they're always being held accountable.
Absolutely. It's all about maintaining those high standards.
What are some of the benefits for a corporation that invests all this time and effort into becoming accredited?
So there are a lot of strategic advantages.
Okay.
First off, being able to certify other organizations gives them a whole new range of services they can offer.
Okay.
And that can mean new revenue streams.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, it really positions them as a leader in quality management within their industry,
Right.
boosts their credibility, and that can lead to new business opportunities.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Exactly.
One thing leads to another.
In a great way to put it.
All right, so we talked about continuous improvement and renewal of ISO certification.
Mhm.
It's not just a one-time thing, right?
Right. It's a journey.
Right, so elaborate on that a little bit.
So ISO 9001, 2015 is all about getting better all the time.
Okay.
It means regularly monitoring your QMS, tweaking your processes, and being open to feedback so you can keep improving.
So it's about having a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the certification itself, how long is that good for?
So an ISO 9001, 2015 certification is usually valid for 3 years.
Okay.
But before it expires, organizations have to go through those renewal audits
Oh, okay.
to prove that they're still in compliance with the standards.
Right, so you can't just coast.
Nope. You have to keep proving yourself.
Right.
And that's where the ongoing adherence to those ISO standards and best practices comes in.
Okay.
And it also shows how important it is to keep your internal auditors up to date with their skills and knowledge.
So invest in training.
Absolutely.
What are the benefits of keeping that certification current?
So keeping your certification active is really good for business. Okay. It shows everyone, your customers, your partners, your employees, your investors, everyone, that you're serious about quality.
Right.
Plus, once you're certified, you can use that to your advantage.
Okay.
Make improvements based on the audit findings, use it in your marketing, and really get a leg up on the competition.
So it's about actively using that certification to improve your business.
Exactly.
Not just letting it sit on a shelf.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's give our listeners some concrete examples.
Right.
Can you tell us about some well-known companies that have achieved ISO 9001-2015 certification?
Absolutely. You'll find ISO 9001-2015 certification across tons of industries.
Okay.
Like in technology, you've got big names like Samsung Electronics.
Okay.
They make all kinds of consumer electronics.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows Samsung.
And then there's Microsoft,
Of course.
leading the way in software development.
So big tech companies, what about other industries?
In the automotive industry, you've got giants like Toyota and Ford
Yeah, makes sense.
using ISO 9001-2015 for their manufacturing processes.
Right.
Then you've got pharmaceuticals
Mm-hmm.
with companies like Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, wow. So these are companies where quality is super important.
Absolutely. They can't afford to mess around with quality.
Right. Human lives are at stake.
Exactly.
What about other sectors?
In industrial manufacturing, you've got companies like General Electric or GE.
Okay.
They use ISO principles in all sorts of areas: energy, healthcare, aviation.
The huge company.
They do it all.
Yeah, and Siemens.
Yes, Siemens is another one.
Using ISO for their engineering and technology solutions.
Exactly.
And even in consumer goods and retail.
Right.
You've got companies like Procter & Gamble or P&G
Yep.
and IKEA.
Exactly. So from household products to furniture,
Yeah, IKEA is known for their quality for sure.
they're all committed to quality and customer satisfaction.
That's awesome.
So you can see ISO 9001-2015 is all over the place.
It really is the gold standard.
It is.
Well, this has been a super insightful deep dive into ISO 9001-2015 certification.
It has been.
If any of you out there listening want to learn even more about quality management
Mm-hmm.
and explore programs like this one, Don't forget to register for the full MESP Management Development Program
Yeah.
over at mechesolco.com/CPD.
Awesome.
So can you give us a quick recap of the key benefits of pursuing ISO 9001-2015 certification?
Sure. So ISO 9001-2015 certification, it's more than just a piece of paper.
Right.
It's about showing that you're committed to better quality, building trust with your customers, opening doors to new markets around the world,
Great.
and creating a culture where everyone's always striving to improve.
So it's a commitment to excellence. It sounds like understanding and implementing ISO 9001-2015 can really give organizations a competitive edge.
It definitely can.
Well, thank you so much for all of that.
You're welcome.
And to everyone listening, if you want to dive deeper into ISO standards and learn about other critical management principles, check out mechesolco.com/CPDD to apply for the MECHESOL MESP Management Development Program.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into ISO 9001-2015.
You got it.
We'll catch you on the next one.